to say?
I am Iron Man.
Oh, what's in the box?
Flash, I love you! But we only have 14 hours to save the Earth!
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
And here we go.
I'm Molly Bloom. Do you know about me? This is a true story.
You ran games in LA for roughly 8 years?
Yeah.
And then you ran games in New York for roughly 2.
I haven't run a game in over 2 years, not to spoil the ending. But that's when the government raided my game and took all of my money, assuming all of it was made illegally, which it wasn't.
Okay, so look, one of the big questions you might ask yourself is this the film for you? Well, when it's the directorial debut of Oscar-winning writer Aaron Sorkin's, you know that guy. He went and made that film about baseball statistics seem less than boring, somehow wrote an exciting script about Facebook, made people sit through the preparation for essentially three TED Talks for Apple without actually showing us the actual TED Talks, then went and made a couple of little shows called The Newsroom and The West Wing, goes and decides to team up with Jessica Chastain and Idris Elba, and then decides to go full David Mamet with his first film. Now, if none of these examples make sense to you, or don't actually register with you, then Molly's Game is probably not the film for you.
There's a new offer on the table. Complete immunity. We hand over the hard drives.
So, Molly's Game is based on the true story of Molly Bloom, a former skiing Olympic hopeful turned high-stakes underground poker game organizer that catered to movie stars, sports stars, millionaires, billionaires, and eventually dodgy Russian mobsters. All this comes to a head at the beginning of the film, where Molly is arrested by the FBI, and the film begins its discontinuous journey throughout Molly's life as we see her rise, fall, and preparation for the court case that could ruin not only her life, but that of celebrities and businessmen across America.
You've seen what's on those hard drives. Families, lives, careers will be ruined.
One of the major driving forces for this film, beyond Sorkin's work, is my favorite man crush. Idris, why the f*** is he not Bond yet? Elba. And of course, Jessica Chastain, who just makes you go slack-jawed with her beauty, strength, and delivery. Both can shoot out Sorkin's dialogue like a rubber ball bouncing back and forth between two tight walls, with legal jargon and poker talk all moving faster and faster with this really driving soundtrack. Now, one of the really big surprises is just how adept at directing Aaron Sorkin's is. Often when you have a writer turned director, the film's storyline is an absolute mess because said writer turned director is insistent on adding all the scenes that ever got cut from their previous films that they'd written. A quick point of reference for this would easily be Blade Trinity and The Bourne Legacy. However, when you're a 3-time Oscar nominee and one of the most sought-after writers in Hollywood, you probably don't get many scenes cut from your scripts. So, there's no disjointed feeling, which can be common with directorial debuts. Sorkin's has a firm control in his style throughout the film, with strong lighting, rich colours, sharp editing, and a rhythmic soundtrack that just drive the dialogue and the actions faster and faster. The film does get a little sluggish about an hour and a half in, and the characters are smart, witty, and funny, but even with all that, the overall care factor for these characters is only really surface level. We don't really learn much about Idris Elba's character. We learn a lot more about Chastain's character, but it's a little touch and go as to whether we actually feel sympathetic for Molly because of her overall tough exterior.
I'll tell them everything they want to know about me. About me. That's it.
The film itself is definitely worth seeing in the cinema, if for no other reason, so that you can just reduce any distractions, because when you're dealing with a Sorkin script, let alone one directed by him, you need to be concentrating on the near 1,000-word-a-minute delivery, with lightning-fast dialogue whipping back and forth between the past and present, overlapping dialogue with narration over more dialogue and then more narration, as you try to keep track of all the different information being spitfired at you throughout the 2-hour and 20-minute runtime. Molly's Game will leave you exhausted, yet satisfied.
Why are you in this alone? Where are the people you're protecting by not telling the whole story?
It's not their names. I'm protecting Charlie. It's mine.
Tell me why!
Because it's all I have left. Because it's my name.